Well, one thing I know, every month I got to look at you on this camera and tell you where my money's going. So there's like the accountability of like, I have to tell somebody that I spent this much money.
I know we had some debt last month. If we did eliminate any, how much did we get rid of last month?
We eliminated about 525 because that's what the credit card bill
Okay.
was before. So that was great. You made a comment last time when you were saying not paying off your debt is you robbing yourself.
I believe the last time we talked, you were actually in the negative. Where is your margin as of today?
It's definitely increased if you were to take away all the holiday stuff that isn't normally in there. You're gonna look in eight, $900,000 upwards of like, okay, now this is money that I have stuff to do with that I wouldn't normally be spending. So I'm not saying go in detail with what you're doing and telling people about your money, but letting those around you know that you ring smarter about your finances kind of makes them think twice before they.
Tell me this. It's been a month since we've met. What would you say has been your biggest benefit since being a part of the program, or a thing that you've learned as far as I know you implemented the Smart 7 system this past month, and this is technically your first month using it, us walking through it. So tell me your thoughts. Was it terrible? Did you like it? Do you feel a little bit more peaceful about just where all your money is and where it's going?
Yeah.
Tell me your thoughts.
I really like it because I'm definitely more aware. I think before I really like, well, one thing I know, every month I got to look at you on this camera and tell you where my money's going. So there's like the accountability of like, I have to tell somebody that I spent this much money thrifting or this much money on shoes or whatever. So I think just the monthly accountability, but also being able to, especially with holidays and traveling, at the end of the week, I can pull up my budget and see, okay, I spent $100 doing this, but I had $150 of it budgeted. So it helps me to kind of not feel as bad about where I'm spending. I think especially when you're in the season of like celebrating people, you can start being like, man, I have spent so much money buying gifts and driving to events and seeing people. But because I'm able to budget now, like, okay, not that I couldn't budget before, but now that I'm able to visibly see where it's at, I can say, okay, well, it's okay because I had money for it. And then with paying off debt, I'm able to see, okay, if I pay off 500 something dollars, that's great. Now I have more money to, like you said, go to Target and do whatever with. So it's been the biggest thing I would say is like just the accountability of having just everything here and also helping me like plan for the next month. So when I'm looking at how was November and December, especially holidays, there's extra traveling and extra spending. Now it's like, okay, when I look at January, what are my thoughts on that based off how these past 2 months have been?
That's awesome. So it's kind of like, it's funny, this is kind of the image I saw when you were saying, I got to come talk to you next month. It's like me on both shoulders are like, all right, if I do this, I should do this, but it's like, well, he's over here saying I shouldn't do this. So it's kind of funny because it's like the reason why I wanted to start this whole academy was just wanting to help people be able to earn more money. And sometimes earning means just being able to utilize the earned income that you have, to be able to increase your margin, but utilize it to the best of your ability. Right. But then also, we have accountability in all these other areas, whether it's, our job, you don't do your job, you're expecting to hear from your boss. You have a personal trainer, you don't go to the gym or don't show up. They're going to call you or they're going to, make sure that you come. Right. And so I think typically people don't have that in their finances. And, hopefully through this, through people like yourself, and then also just being able to utilize that to be able to help you be able to get to your goals. So, second question. I know we had some debt last month. We had some goals. We had some things that we wanted to achieve. Where are we now? Do we eliminate any? Did we add any more? If we did eliminate any, how much did we get rid of last month?
We eliminated about 525 because that's what the credit card bill
Okay.
was before. So that was great. I I was very hesitant at first. I was like, "Ooh, I gotta pay this large amount," but I feel like you made a comment last time when you were saying not paying off your debt is you robbing yourself, and I was like, okay, and it really is like that, and I realized, okay, me paying off this large amount of debt was actually beneficial to me. No, I may not have been able to put as much into my savings, but it kept me from having to just, oh, I got to pay this large amount. And if I'm using my credit card, like I'm normally doing, it's going to keep building up. So that was great to just pay that off and just have it be done with. And I felt like it doesn't really make sense. I'm sure maybe to you it will, but it felt like even though I paid that off, I feel like I still had more money to work with because I
Yeah.
knew where it was going. Like I was like, okay, this is going here. I paid off my debt. And when I was out buying stuff, I was like, okay, these items fall under this. So I can take that from this budget. And so everything worked out really well, just being able to get that debt paid off. And I feel like that kind of left me with just the whole mindset of even regardless of the amount, I feel like it's more about the consistency rather than it is just like, oh, I just pay 40 here, 30 here,
Yeah.
but $40 on top of $800, it's not doing as much versus if you
Yeah.
have 300 and you put 250 towards it. So it just felt good to be consistent in keeping that bill lower. So as you say, I'm not robbing myself.
Gave you a peace of mind too, that it's like, all right, now I
Yes.
don't have to worry about this bill that's been haunting me, or I've keep kicking the can down the road. And I get it. I think, often we are like, well, I still want to save. But I think once we flip our mindset of, okay, if I can go ahead and pay this off, I can actually save more and get you know, back to where I was at, but then also utilizing my savings to even be able to eliminate some of the debt. So, with that being said, I know the last time we talked, I remember correctly, you had about, if you've paid off some debt, that means our margin has increased. So that's great. I believe the last time we talked, you were actually in the negative as far as margin. I think it was negative $69. So as of today, paying off some debt and getting rid of some things, and now, being a little bit more prepared financially for the month of December. Where is your margin as of today going into, well, throughout this month, and where do you, if you feel like it's increased, how much it's increased by? I'd be curious to know. I hope this video is motivating you to take control of your finances. One, I want to thank you so much for checking out this video, and if you could hit the subscribe button, that'd be dope. Two, if you're looking to take control of your finances in 2025, I highly encourage you to join our Smart Money 7 workshop, where I'll be breaking down the financial system that's helped me to be able to create financial freedom, also purchase my wife her dream car, be able to travel to places like Greece and Italy, and also purchase rental properties. If you're simply looking to maybe develop better money habits, or you just want to be financially free, I want to see you there, so tap in. Inside of our coaching program, we've been able to help people increase their margin and their budget from upwards to 10 to 20%, which has allowed them to be able to shop more, be able to just have more fun, travel more, and even plan for retirement. And so I'm going to make sure I drop the link here down below to the event, and I can't wait to see you there.
It's definitely increased because I paid that off. And also, too, I mean, with holiday spending, things are budgeted a little bit different.
Of course.
But if you were to take away all the holiday stuff that isn't normally in there, you're going to look in $800,000, $900,000 upwards of like, okay, now this is money that I have stuff to do with that I wouldn't normally be spending. So the margin has increased, and I think part of the margin being able to increase is because when I made my budget for December, I was able to come in and say, okay, let's be realistic. Where is my money going? How much am I planning to spend? Because let's say this time last year when I was getting Christmas gifts, of course I was thinking about what I was getting my family. And, you have that first full-time job. You want to get your friends and families,
Yeah.
nice
100%.
gifts. And, it was great. But I didn't really track it as well. Whereas this year I was able to say, okay, here's my gifts budget. And everything is staying in there. Still getting decent gifts, and just having all that there made me be able to look at things better, and it increased my overall margin too, because I'm able to say, okay, well, now I have $400 left to work
Yeah.
with, which means 400 now. Next month that might be 1,000 once we wipe
Right.
out Christmas spending. So we're doing much better. No more negative. So
Hey,
that's great.
we will gladly take it. So to answer the question, you're saying your number is roughly around $1,000, like in margin increase from last month to this month.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, okay. And honestly, you should pat yourself on the back because I think Christmas is probably one of, and I love Christmas. Wife loves Christmas. We love shopping for people. Um, I think it also can be one of the most dangerous times for people financially because there's usually not, there's so much emotion involved, right? There's like,
Yeah.
well, I want to do this for such and such, and I want to buy this gift for them. I don't really have the money, but I can deal with it after Christmas. And then the new year starts, and sometimes what people I hear people do this all the time. Well, I'll buy Christmas gifts and then I'll pay it off with my tax refund. By the time your refund comes in, which depending on when you file, if it's late, most people don't get their W-9 or 1099 until late February, early March. So you're probably not even paying off, your credit card bill until honestly, I think the last day for taxes is like April 15th. So you may not even be getting anything back until April. And imagine how much interest builds up from the time you spent $1,000, considering, let's just say your interest rate is 25%. I mean, you're adding hundreds of dollars over the next 4 or 5 months just to pay for something that was in 1 month that, yes, somebody was excited about. And I'm not saying don't get gifts. I think it's great. We're doing it, but do it within reason. And like, okay, here's my number. Here's what I feel comfortable with. Um, I think, one of the things I think we talked before, but then also about when you have a budget about something, when you go do the things that you do, you actually don't feel bad and it's not really stressful. Like I just had a trip for my birthday personally to Las Vegas. We had a certain number we were going to use. And so every time I used my car, I actually didn't like have to think twice about it because I knew the money was already there. I had already planned for it. And thankfully, we didn't even spend all of it. So what we ended up doing is just keeping that money and being able to like utilize it to pretty much like either put it into more, we can invest it, or we could buy Christmas gifts for people because we didn't spend all our money. And so that's really one, I'm glad to hear that your margin has increased. And then two, that you've been able to eliminate some debt. And so January is looking great. Once we get through this month as well. So I think, I'm glad that you're taking advantage of the program and understanding what we're here for. And hey, I'm just trying to be a good accountability partner. One for you, but one last question. So if you had to say in the last month, what would you say is one financial tip that you kind of got from our meeting from this month and you used it going into where we are today?
Everything has a place. I feel like that is the biggest thing that I thought about this entire month was like every purchase that I make has a place on the budget. So it made me think about if you're buying this, where are you pulling that money from? You have the money, so it's not a concern of whether you can or can't afford it, but do you have the money in that specific budget for it? If I don't know, say if I was hosting, if my grocery budget is a certain amount and I spend more than that, but my hygiene amount didn't go that far, well, maybe I need to, add and subtract some things. So that was the biggest thing was just being mindful of putting everything in a place, but also knowing that the things that I'm doing now are kind of setting me up for financial future. And even though November and December are heavier months with holidays and stuff, what we're doing now is really like laying the groundwork for when we come in January and it's like, okay, holidays are done. I don't have any showers, weddings, things on the horizon. So it's like, okay, now when January hits, we can really start making some big strides towards my
Yeah.
overall financial goals. That's what it kind of felt like. So I think just putting everything in a place is the best thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah.
Also, it helps to be able to communicate to your friends and family. Because I was telling my friends, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm meeting with Cam to like go over my finances. And I'm not saying go in detail with what you're doing and, telling people about your money, but letting those around you know that you ring smarter about your finances kind of makes them think twice before they, oh girl, come on, let's go do this because they know oh, she's trying to take care of her money. Let me not ask her. So I could also
Yeah.
I noticed that in conversation too. Like
That's
people
funny.
weren't asking me to do stuff because they know. And I kept bringing, oh, I'm looking at my budget today, or I've got to add this, or I'm not going to get that. It doesn't fit in the budget. And it affected how my friends responded to me when it
Yeah.
came to doing,
Yeah.
frivolous things.
If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe to get more content like this.